Welcome to Connecting the Dots, where thought leaders, game changers, and innovators share their thoughts, tips, insights, and learnings. My name is Andy Waltenspiel, and I'm running a Munich-based consulting practice for the media, telco, and technology industries. Today, for my very first interview, I have an old friend. He's been Mr. TV at Vodafone, at Zon Portugal before. Welcome with me. Here is Nuno Sanchez.
Hi, hello, Andy. How are you?
Thank
you for the invitation, for being here. It's a pleasure.
You've recently changed to the dark side, means the vendor side.
I'm sure I will be put in the same tough spot I've put other vendors. I was de facto an internal supplier. From a personal perspective, it's actually a major adventure. I've never learned more in my life in such a short period of time.
What is Kaltura doing? The elevator pitch.
If you're a telecom or pay TV company, we bring you the best of OTT while respecting your pay TV tradition. If you're a media company, we're the white label Netflix. You can leverage a Silicon Valley scale in parity with the giants to distribute your content anywhere. Kaltura's vision is essentially that we want to solve any video problem in the world. And our whole strategy is built about building the core capabilities to do that. But then we build the core capabilities of managing the content workflows. And on top of that, we build vertical capabilities. And that's very unique. And then we have these segments built on top where we build unique applications per segments. Media and telecom is one of those segments. It's clearly the one that has the highest requirements for the video and the data experience. But we also have a very successful learning and enterprise segment.
That sounds like you've been going well through the COVID period.
Hadn't Kaltura been a fully cloudified product for its three business units, we would have never been able to scale up 3 to 4x. 2 to 3 weeks where the full impact was incorporated. Those 3 weeks essentially materialized 90% of the growth we've seen. I think the part that's been more complex is for any leader has been managing with the teams, managing with the remote way of working. Kaltura was uniquely positioned for that. It was global, but at the same time, some of our functions were very dependent on proximity. So a lot of our focus went into how do we do this seamlessly? How do we support people? So how do we balance the needs of the company with their well-being? How do we prioritize their health? How do we respect the fact that being at home doesn't mean you're always available?
How do you manage with family? How do you keep fit?
On my side, trying to keep up with the running routine that you know well, I've been on and off for a few years.
You think I have a picture of that?
Oh my God.
For a second. Viewers, can you imagine? Nuno Sanchez brought me to running. Couch to 5K from the NHS, the UK Health Service. Fantastic program. So if you want to start running and become as fit as the two of us.
or better. So I've been doing running every other day. That has been nice. But what I found that really breaks the intensity of working from home is I've been trying to do my one-to-ones with my team at the end of the afternoon, always in the same slot, while I'll walk. And I'll have these meetings that don't require video, they don't require PowerPoint, and I just tend to walk for an hour and a half. That ends up being 5, 7, 10 kilometers easily. And that has helped me a lot. Honestly, it creates the break between the workspace while you're locked at home and the family time when you come back and you've caught your air and the day's finished and you're able to focus fully.
Where do you see the industry heading? What are the big trends apart from obviously cloud? That's your bet with Kaltura. Maybe ask differently instead of what's the trend. I give you $100 million. What do you do with it? No, you can't buy a bar in the Algarve, sorry. But
no, I'll reserve a little bit of that for a bar in the Algarve as the contingency plan. I think that's easy to answer. So I think the way we look at the market, we see cloud as an enabler, right? So we actually think the cloud discussion is, I'm surprised that I'm iterating the cloud discussion today when I go into some meetings. I would have imagined when I was in the Vodafone side that the cloud topic had been resolved if not 5, 6 years ago as it was in Vodafone, but 2 to 3. I'm surprised to see there are some debates still around the cloud. I'm convinced that this period will completely vindicate it, and the upsides will be so obvious versus any potential downside that it was inevitable. Now it's a certainty. Right now, if you look at the world, you essentially see there are 2 opportunities for technology providers in the video space. You can either play on the super aggregator side, you can play on the universal syndicator side. So you can either be a pay TV operator who wants to have all the content independently of where and how is it distributed, and essentially you build on top of either your own ingested content, your own linear TV, your own SVOD products, the third parties. And how do you essentially create an offer and a distinguished value proposition around that aggregator role? So particularly around the economic aggregator, the bundling component, but also the experience aggregator by essentially guaranteeing that the UX emanates and solves the pain points of the customer, and that the platform has the ability to digest all sources of metadata and offer a consistent experience. We invest a significant amount of money in essentially unlocking the potential of this, particularly adding the data element to it, so that decisions around monetization and decisions around how to bring more value to the consumers by using the technology stack of TV, how do they play in that space? On the other side, I see the universal syndicators, which is a even more recent need, which is, although the Disneys and the Netflix and the few of the largest content providers in the world have found their own avenue and investment to get direct to consumer, what we see is a different challenge from almost everyone who doesn't have that scale on the content side is how to, and can't break into those catalogs, or is not interested economically at breaking in those catalogs because they're not very focused on their own production. And for those, we have the ability to solve a problem, which is how to bring the content that they, as content producers, were. How do we bring one, that technology stack that enables a direct-to-consumer experience that's equivalent, and how do we bring also a distribution capability so that if any operator in the world wants to syndicate their content, how do we do that in a way that's seamless and that doesn't have transaction costs, doesn't have incremental effort? So we see that enabler of the universal syndicator. You'll see there are two sides of the same coin, right? If you're playing both games, it's obvious that you're essentially the capabilities to build one and the other, and particularly the one-off integrations to enable can be leveraged on both sides. So I think the investment in Kaltura that we're doing is essentially on enabling these two visions to come together seamlessly.
I think that's a nice wrap up. I mean, we talked about super aggregators, the cloud, running a business and running and cooking. I hope we'll be soon able to have a cooking session maybe together. Let's see when that might happen.
Again?
Yeah, you want to show? Again? You want me to show that picture? Okay, let's bring the picture.
So let's bring the picture.
We need to run a lot because there's a lot of meat here, but there's a lot of business.
Yeah, and we share a joint passion for not just cooking, but cooking gadgets.
We need to do another call for that. No, it was great to have you there. Thank you very much for being here, and hope to see you soon in person, and we'll speak very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.